Alright, hey, also, I'm going to be doing a tutorial here for importing custom models into Kingdom Hearts 3, specifically for weapons. So basically, to give you what you need to start off, there are four programs you need. You're going to need Blender. The version I'm using, I just downloaded from Steam. I believe it's the latest version. And so that's how I'm going to be, this version is what I'm going to be showing you everything in. And yeah, so I just got it off Steam. I think that's the easiest way to get it, but whatever version you have, it's up to you. I don't know exactly if it'll work exactly the same in older versions, but I'm going to be showing you this version. You're also going to need the custom Unreal Engine 4 version that is pinned in the KH3 Modding channel of the Open KH Discord. Basically, it's just necessary to import the skeletal meshes into Kingdom Hearts 3. And unfortunately, you can't use any version from the Epic Games Store. You have to use the custom one, but you can find it on the OpenKH Discord, free to download, and I have all of that. So basically, then you will also need U model, which is a model that will let you basically get into Kingdom Hearts 3's files and import everything into there, or export anything out of it. And you'll also need Unreal Pack to create a pack file, which is basically just the mod file. Yeah, so you need those four programs, and all of that will be linked in the description. All of the websites to get this from, and the OpenKH Discord, and all of that. So basically what you're going to want to do to start is open up UModel, get to the correct file for, or it's the correct directory for your game. So you're going to want to go to wherever your game Kingdom Hearts 3 is installed on your PC, and to the packs folder. Select the packs folder. Then you're going to override game detection to Unreal Engine 4 and down to Kingdom Hearts 3. Click OK. You'll need the AES encryption key, which again is pinned in the OpenKH Discord. And it's going to be pinned in the KH3 Modding channel at the very bottom of the pin list. And you'll just paste that in there and click OK. And this will bring up the Kingdom Hearts 3 files. So I will also leave in the description the OpenKH website, which will give you a list of all of the weapons, character models, and all of that, and their IDs, which you will need because they're not named like Kingdom Key in the files, and I'll show you that. So we're going to be replacing the Kingdom Key, so I'm going to go into Character, Wep. This is where all the weapon files are, and go down to WSO010. That is Sora's Kingdom Key, and then go into the MDL folder, go to this first one, WSO0100, and click Export. This is going to give a, make sure it's in the correct directory here. This is going to give a PSK model file. That's a skeletal mesh file into whatever folder you put it in here. Click OK. That exported it, so we're going to go and do File, Import. You also need a Blender plugin to import skeletal meshes into Blender, so I have that installed. That will again be linked in the description. You're going to import the PSK, and then go to wherever you extracted the model, and find it here, MDL, and then the PSK, and then import that. Now we have the Kingdom Key here. Now, first thing I do straight away is going to be increasing the scale, because when later on when you're importing into Unreal Engine 4, if the bones of the skeleton are too small, it won't import a physics asset, which you do need the physics asset in there when you're creating it. So I do scale everything up to 100 and click Object, Apply All Transforms. We'll scale it down on export so it won't be gigantic when you actually have it in game. So now that we have the Kingdom Key in, we are going to go ahead and file import whatever model we're going to be replacing it with. So let me just go ahead and pull up the model that I will be using, which is going to be a struggle bat. Okay, and then you're going to now just want to align the model with the model so you're going to want to align your model with the model you are replacing. I delete the light and camera because it's not necessary. Basically, let's go ahead and just grab all of this. Oh, that's not. There we go. So now it's rotated correctly. Now we're also going to move it so that it is properly aligned and everything. There we go. And it's, whoops, that's my macro of right clicking. Whoops. So now it's properly aligned and everything. All good and everything. Cool. Then next step, now that they're aligned, you're going to want to click on the kingdom key to select it, press tab, or click on the model you're replacing. Isn't necessarily kingdom key, obviously. Press tab. This will bring you into edit mode. You're going to want to press Alt A. That will deselect all the vertices. You'll notice they're going to be all black, not orange. And then you're going to go back into edit mode. In your file scene collection here, you're going to click the model that you you're going to control click the model that you have to select it, so both of them are selected. Then you're going to want to click on the kingdom key to kind of give it priority. Or sorry, you're going to want to shift click on the kingdom key in the scene view to give it priority, and then you're going to want to press Control J, and that will join the two meshes together. So they are technically considered one mesh now. So we're going to then press tab one more time, or press tab again, and then you'll see the vertices of the model you are importing will be selected, in this case a struggle bat. I am then going to press Control I to invert, and then that will have the kingdom key selected. Press X, and then delete faces. I think you can delete vertices as well. I don't think it really matters that much. But yeah, that will then delete the original model and you'll only have your model left. So there's a couple more things we have to do before we are ready to export. First of all, you want to go to down here, the object data preferences, the little triangle with the square corners, and then go to the vertex groups and click on WEP. With your mouse over the scene view, press A, that selects everything, and then over here press assign. This just assigns the model to this bone of the rig so that it will properly animate and everything. One thing you'll notice, there are chains on the skeleton. These unfortunately don't work. There's no known way to make the chain physics work, so even if you were to have a weapon with a chain and assign all the chains to the proper rig bones and everything, it unfortunately wouldn't work, and we haven't in the modding community figured out why yet. But yeah, so now that it's assigned to the rig, there's one more thing you have to do. Go to UV maps. You're gonna have like two or three or maybe more UV maps here, but basically if you go to UV editing and you click on these two, they're going to be empty, but if you click on this one, you'll notice it has the UV. So you're going to want to just delete the empty ones because they kind of take priority and you don't need them. So with this UV map here, you'll see now it's aligned properly. So now there's only one UV map and it's not going to have any errors when we import it into Unreal. So now we are almost all done. Actually, there's one more thing. There's some error, I don't know why, but when you export the models from UModel, it kind of so they end up with the Keyblade's teeth facing up. And I actually rotated this the wrong way because this is supposed to be the front here, but I'll show you how to rotate it properly. You do just need to rotate it onto its side, so you'll go back to object properties, and in this case I'm rotating it 90 degrees. If you are importing a Keyblade and you lined up the teeth properly, it's going to be -90 degrees, but basically you're just going to want the front of the Keyblade, the front of the weapon, the side of the weapon that's going to be hitting the enemies, you want to be facing the negative Y direction in Blender. So you'll see there's the yellow arrow here, that you want the front of it to be facing away from where that arrow is pointing. All right, and then now you are ready to export. So we'll go to File, Export FPX. We're going to name it. We're going to name it properly for what we are replacing, because this will make it just a little bit easier in Unreal Engine and have a little bit less renaming to do. Now, I am not going to name it exactly because I already have a model exported that is named W_SO010_0. So I'm just going to add SB at the end, so I'm not overwriting the one I already have. It's still red because I tried recording this before and I messed up, so I'm just doing it again. But yeah, it'll be gray when you're not overwriting anything. So for the settings for export, you're going to go down to transform. In scale, you want to make it 0.01 because we scaled it up earlier. You can see it still says 100 here. That's fine. Don't worry about that because we're downscaling it now. But make sure if you have this clicked, it should say 1 because the bones need to be big. But yeah, so transform 0.01. Geometry, I don't think this is strictly necessary. Just the tutorial that I found did this. But I'm seeing people say that it's not necessary, but I've been doing this for my mods. But you change smoothing to face and click tangent space. Again, I don't think it's necessary, but that's what I've been doing. And then in armature, you just click uncheck add leaf bones. And that's all the settings you need. And then you're ready to export. So click export FBX. And now we are ready to go in Unreal. So you're going to want to go into Unreal Engine. You're going to want to open the custom version. You're going to create a empty project. You will come up with this. You will not have the maps folder here. This is for custom materials. I won't be going over how to do that in this tutorial, but the link will be in the description. It's Caleb Moore's tutorial for getting the mgeneric file to do custom materials in the game. This isn't strictly necessary, but I would highly recommend it because it allows you to do multiple materials on one weapon if you need it. And it's just a little easier, in my opinion, than just having more files to rename. And yeah, so you go to, you're going to have just the content folder, and you're going to want to make the file structure that you got the model from. So if you go back into UModel, you'll see we were at character. We don't need to worry about the game directory, but we are at character, WEP, and WSO010. So I'm going to make those folders, and they have to be case sensitive and everything like that. And WSO010. And then also a model file, or an MDL folder, because that's where the model was in the MDL folder. So then you're going to want to click import and go find the model that you just exported from Blender and import that into the game, which is in my case is here. You're going to want to go make sure skeletal mesh import mesh is done. This won't be expanded when you first start, so you're going to want to click show advanced. You're going to also make sure that this drop down is import normals and tangents. It's normally compute normals, excuse me. You want it to import normals and tangents. And then you also want to scroll down and make sure import materials and import textures is checked. And then you click import. That'll bring everything into the game. I'm just going to delete the material it imported because I'm going to create my own one. And then I'm going to just select everything and save them with Control S, just so I don't have to worry about saving them later. Or I'll probably have to save some of them later, but still. So again, for custom materials, this is a home. I'm just going to show you how to do it with these. I'm just going to go to the mgeneric, create material instance, and then move it to the appropriate folder. Again, you don't have to do this. If you're just going to overwrite the game's material, you just rename it to whatever it is in UModel, which would be in the mat0 folder, you just rename it to these. I find it a little easier just to do the mgeneric thing, but yeah. And then you're also going to want to import whatever texture you're using if you are using a texture. And Control S. And then I'm going to just assign the texture to the material. Save that. And then assign the material to the weapon. As you can see, there it is. It's a little blocky. I don't know if it's going to show up like that in game. If it does, oh well. I'll get another version that's not as blocky. But yeah. And before we finish here, we're going to want to go to rename and get rid of the little extra SB. If it will work for me here and not click off, there we go. And you're just going to want to name these as they were in UModel. So as you can see, the WSO0100, WSO0100 skeleton, WSO010 physics. So for Kingdom Key specifically, it does not have an extra _0. Other ones will. I also have discovered that you, though it says just physics in UModel, you can just leave it as physics asset and it still works. But whichever y'all prefer. But I'm just going to get rid of the extra XP that I had when I exported. But basically it should all look like this. Your custom material, your texture, and your things named properly as you had seen them in UModel. All right, and then before you package, you're going to want to do one quick thing. Go to Edit, Project Settings, and make sure under Packaging, Use Pack File is unchecked. Then you're going to want to go into, so there's two ways to make the files that you need. You could either do Package Project, Windows 64-bit. This one gives me an error and I don't know why, and I don't know how to get rid of it, but Cook Content for Windows does the exact same thing, and you can, and for me it doesn't give that error, so I just do that. So I'm just going to Cook Content for Windows. Take a couple seconds, but you're going to want to go into your your Unreal projects folder, which is usually in your documents, and then go to your project folder. Mine is just named my project 3 because I didn't name it. And then you're going to want to go to the saved folder and then the cooked folder and Windows no editor, and then again your project name, which in my case is just my project 3. And there's nothing in here yet because it's still creating it, and then once it's done, the content folder will be here. So before you continue, you're going to want to go in into the content folder and delete any excess that you don't need. For example, I have the maps folder for the mgeneric material. We don't want to overwrite Kingdom Hearts 3, so I'm going to delete it. And then I'm going to go into character, web, SO model. And then this is very important. You need to delete the skeleton and physics asset. If you don't delete these, the game will freeze on load, or whenever you equip the material or the weapon you're replacing, or whatever the enemy that uses that weapon appears, it's going to freeze the game. And obviously you don't want that because, yeah, it tries to overwrite Kingdom Hearts 3's and that it doesn't like that. So you should just have everything but the skeleton and the physics in this folder, but make sure that you did not delete them in Unreal, because you don't need to do it in Unreal, you need to do it after, because they all still need to reference each other properly. Excuse me, so now you're going to go back up to this folder. You're going to want to create a new folder called Kingdom Hearts 3 in all caps. You're going to put the content folder in there. Then you are going to make a new folder, and now this is going to be named whatever you want your pack file, your mod file, to be named. So I usually name mine pack chunk 99-0099- because that just guarantees that it loads it last and doesn't overwrite any of the games, or and doesn't load before any of the game's files, because we want it to overwrite the game's files. We don't want the game's files to overwrite it, if that makes sense. But it's not strictly necessary, but I think it helps just to make sure it's loaded later in the game. And then I'm just going to name it Struggle Bat. And then you're going to want to put the Kingdom Hearts 3 folder in there. And so you should just have this Kingdom Hearts 3 content and then whatever in there. So you're going to want to then open up Unreal Pack. You're going to want to drag your folder onto createpack.bat. It'll do all that. And then you will have a pack file. So you're going to want to then go put this pack file into your mods folder. You can see I have a bunch of mods here. And then I'm going to go ahead and open Kingdom Hearts 3. Also plug in my controller while it's loading up. And then we're going to see and make sure it worked. But yeah, any resources or tutorials that you will need that I didn't go over will be linked in the description. So just make sure you go ahead and check that. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments. And I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. I'm still pretty new to modding as well. I only recently figured out how to do this, and I'm just making a video because I figured it would be a little better when it hadn't been created yet, and I think a lot of people would love to do this, and it's a little complicated of a process to figure out, so we're just going to continue the game here. You'll see a number of my other mods that I have installed. Won't really go over those since that's not the point of this video, but enjoy while you see it. Alright, just loading in. Continue. So let's go ahead, go to equipment. Sora, Kingdom Key is equipped, so we're going to attack. And we have the Struggle Bat. It is a little more blocky than I would have liked. I'll have to get a better model for it, but yeah, we now have the model in the game. And it works, just as you would expect. Alright, one thing I want to just quickly add at the end of this video is if you are wanting to replace either Oathkeeper or Oblivion, which are these two folders here, you'll notice if you go into the MDL folder that there's no skeleton or physics asset. That's because Sora's Oathkeeper and Oblivion use the Oathkeeper and Oblivion of Roxas's versions. So this should show you in Unreal Engine 4. Actually, let me just bring up the correct project. Okay, I'm in the correct project now, but ignore all the folders. But I made a mod that replaces Oblivion with an original character, Keyblade. As you can see, the skeleton and physics asset are not in here because, like I said, they reference Roxas's. So for Oblivion, Sora's is SO210, Oathkeeper is SO200, and the Roxas's is EX100. So you can see the physics assets and skeleton are in here for the Oblivion, and then Oathkeeper's is EX90. So if you're going to want to replace those ones, you do have to have the skeleton and physics asset in this folder, or in the proper folder for whichever Keyblade of those two for Roxas's Oathkeeper and Oblivion, because like I said, Sora's does not have his own physics asset and skeleton, and if you don't have it in here, it will hard crash the game whenever you try to equip Oathkeeper or Oblivion. And once again, you do still have to delete these after you do the cook content for Windows or packaging or whatever, but when it's in Unreal, it needs to be in the correct folder and named properly as EX100, not SO210, or EX90, not SO200. Yeah, just a little additional information at the end there. Yeah. But yeah, thank you for watching this tutorial. Again, if I have any additional stuff I'll probably put it in the description or in a pinned comment or something. But yeah, I hope you enjoy. Excited to see what mods y'all guys make.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. And thanks for watching. Bye.